She lived in silence. A quiet woman, unnoticed by neighbors, unknown to friends, and unremembered by even her own family. Her name was Maria Adelaide Fernandez, and for 7 long years, her corpse remained in her own home, mummified, untouched, and undiscovered. Maria had once lived a normal life in a quiet Lisbon neighborhood. In her younger days, she had been a schoolteacher, loved by children and respected by her colleagues. But time had a strange way of isolating her. Her husband died in the late 80s, her only daughter moved abroad, and friends, if any, slowly vanished like memories in a fog. No one really noticed when Maria stopped showing up at the market. No one knocked when her curtains remained shut, year after year. The mailman, for a while, kept slipping letters through her slot. Bills piled up. Notices arrived. But Maria's bank account, strangely, remained active, paying off utilities, subscriptions, even taxes. It was as if she were still alive. But she wasn't. Behind her closed apartment door, time stood still. Her body lay peacefully on her bed, wearing the same clothes she had died in. She looked asleep. There were no signs of violence. No chaos. Only silence. Her corpse was discovered only because the building had been sold to new owners, and the authorities had finally broken into the flat to reclaim the property. What they found was chilling. Her home was covered in dust, cobwebs hanging like ghosts from every corner, dishes untouched in the sink. But there she was, preserved, dried out, and forgotten. The investigation into Maria's death opened up a chilling reflection of society. How could someone vanish from life and remain unseen for so long? How could the world continue spinning while one soul lay dead, completely unnoticed? Maria's story isn't about murder or ghosts. It's about loneliness, about how a life, once full of purpose, can fade into nothingness in the eyes of others. Her corpse stayed hidden not because of a crime, but because of apathy. It was discovered that Maria had died of natural causes. Possibly a heart attack, perhaps a stroke, no one knew for sure. By the time the body was found, it was impossible to determine the exact cause. But one thing was clear: she died alone, and no one came looking. Neighbors recalled vague memories. She was quiet, one said. Always alone, said another. No one remembered the last time they saw her alive. No one knocked when her plants withered or when her lights never turned on. No one asked. Authorities found a small radio still plugged into the wall. It had burned out years ago, but it had probably been playing the last sounds Maria ever heard. A haunting lullaby before her eternal sleep. When the story of Maria Fernandez reached the news, the world was stunned. Social services were questioned. Neighbors were shocked. But no one had answers. The press labeled her the forgotten woman. She became a symbol of urban isolation, a tragic echo of the modern world's indifference. Journalists dug deeper into her life. Her bank records showed no unusual activity. Her bills were paid automatically. Her pension was deposited each month. And that very system, so efficient, so automated, allowed her absence to go unnoticed. She didn't know anyone. She didn't need help. Or at least, she never asked. What shocked investigators most was how well her body was preserved. The airtight apartment, combined with Portugal's dry climate, had prevented decay. There was no foul smell, no pests, just dust and time. It was as if the apartment had turned into a tomb, preserving her like a relic. Some speculated that Maria had known her death was near. They found a diary, her last entry dated 7 years prior. It read, "If I die, let the world forget. I have no more left to give or receive. Let my soul drift quietly." Those haunting words were the last proof of her existence. Her daughter, living in Canada, had assumed Maria had simply cut ties. She hadn't visited in over a decade. When contacted, she wept, not just for the loss, but for the shame of forgetting. The apartment was eventually cleaned. Maria's belongings were donated or thrown away. Her body was given a proper burial. A small stone now marks her grave. It reads simply, "Maria Adelaide Fernandez, remembered at last." But for many, the story didn't end there. In the following months, neighbors began to notice strange things. A light would flicker in her old apartment, even though the electricity had been cut off. Some claimed to hear the soft hum of a radio. Others swore they saw shadows moving behind the curtains. Was it her spirit? Or just the guilt echoing through their minds? Urban legends began to grow. Some believed Maria's soul wandered the halls at night, looking for the connection she never found in life. Others said she whispered to those who felt lonely, as if warning them not to let isolation consume them. But one thing was certain. Maria's story changed the way people thought about silence. It forced neighbors to greet each other again, to knock on doors, to check in on the elderly woman down the hall. It inspired laws in Portugal to improve welfare checks for the elderly. In some ways, her death brought life back to the community. Maria had been alone in life, but in death, she united strangers in sorrow, reflection, and a shared hope that no one else would suffer the same fate. She was the woman whose corpse was kept for 7 years. But more than that, she became a voice from beyond the grave, a silent scream against being forgotten.